Well, we have been hearing of sweeping sanctions, huge economic sanctions that will cost heavily to Russia, and Russia will suffer consequences. But Ambassador Astuto, if I could come to you, Europe certainly is not a united house when it comes to even sanctions. Now, when President Biden was holding a press conference and was asked about one particular question, he himself said that Europe is not united, and that has to do with sanctions against SWIFT transactions. Sanctions are not imposed on SWIFT transactions, something that certainly would impact Russia hugely, but countries within Europe do not agree. We see a lot of engagement between European Union, the West and the United States of America, but certainly no consensus on sanctioning SWIFT.
Look, the European Union is fully united on condemning the aggression and sanctioning Russia. And I think if you have a look at the package which is about to be adopted, it's a very significant package, and the consequences will be massive. It is the end of it. I'm not sure if the aggressive pattern, if the aggression from Russia continues, other sanctions may be necessary, and then we shall see what other fields will be affected.
Ambassador Lindner, you spoke earlier of a higher price that needs to be paid for freedom and democracy, sir. But Europe is not united. Would you explain how then can there be a concerted effort to take on Russia if we are looking at the same SWIFT transaction? And I'm focusing on this only because this is something that everybody is asking. Your economic sanctions will not really hold together unless and until SWIFT is also sanctioned.
You see, this is what I guess Russia is hoping for, that the Western side is, or the world is divided, and we have a rift in the European Union, in the NATO, and in G7, whatever. It's not happening. It's not happening because people know what is at stake. And if you are not reacting on this incredible violation of integrity and sovereignty of a country, then our price will be much higher. So you will see, and I mean, Putin will see, we are very united, and no, it's not on something against any Russian people. We have a lot of respect for Russian people, and they have a very strong civil society, and they are striving for democracy. This is, I guess, what the Russian president is afraid of, that this democracy is getting stronger and stronger. So I don't know. You have to ask those people who are surrounding the Russian president why he comes up with such a behavior which is totally unacceptable.
High Commissioner Ellis, let me come to you with the same question all over again. We see through visuals the Ukrainian forces' retaliation that there is absolute determination on the side of Ukrainian government and the part of the people of Ukraine. But it just seems like with the recent statements by President Zelensky that he is rather disappointed that NATO did not come to the defense of Ukraine. In such a scenario, do you see Zelensky losing popularity and hence a change in government in Ukraine, which is what maybe President Putin wants?
Well, I don't think it's a question of losing popularity. I think it's a question of an autocratic neighbor simply invading another country. Russia is bigger than Ukraine. It has shown a quite extraordinary aggression and unprovoked violence and destructiveness against its neighbor. We have and will continue to work with Ukraine. As I said, we've launched the biggest pack of sanctions I think I can ever remember. Together, we're doing that with lots of partners and allies around the world, which will come up to about 50% of the world's GDP. And we are determined to show to President Putin that violence and militaristic oppression and autocracy will not work.
Ambassador Astuto, you are representing an entire bloc, the European Union, key important European countries who are also part of the NATO. Hence, My question to you is to do with India. We see a lot of engagement between India and the European Union, between India and the West. There have been conversations between External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar and the higher representatives in your headquarters, as also between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the top EU leadership. But when it comes to really looking at India's stand, it just seems like the West also, the NATO allies also want India to take a stand, while Russia is a strategic partner of India and India is towing a very cautious line. In that, what are your expectations? What is the NATO, or for that matter, European Union's expectations from India in this crisis situation?
Well, as I said earlier, I think the international community needs to come together in defense of the UN Charter, in defense of the international law, and I think this is valid across the board.